Welcome back to Let's Talk Harlingen. I'm Mayor Norma Sepulveda.
And I'm Cassandra Concilio.
We're here to keep you updated, informed, and connected to your city.
Let's get into it.
And in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, Harlingen, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Harlingen.
Hi, Mayor. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Good. We are recovered. We are so excited. We want to say thank you to everybody who came out to Rio Fest 2025. It was a sold out show. We had so much fun. The park was absolutely packed and everybody was smiling and happy and really enjoying the night.
You know, it seems like, well, you know, there'll be a break, but there's not. It's like, okay, Rio Fest, now market days, and then it just keeps going and going
Yeah,
and going.
you think that you're going to have a break from events in the city of Harlingen, but you're not. Because there's also this really neat event called Showdown at the Arroyo.
Yes.
And it's the 4th annual mountain bike racing in the city of Harlingen. It's at the Arroyo Trails, and it's October 11th and 12th. And it's a 2-day event. Mm-hmm. Also, you can go, like, it's a spectator sport as well. But it's so neat because it is basically they do like they do a tour of Texas and they do these races all over the state of Texas.
Great.
And people love doing it in Harlingen because Bicycle World of Harlingen, well, RGB really, they take so much pride in the trails. Mm-hmm. And they go out there and they make sure the grass is cut and they make sure like the trail is ready for, you know, the mountain bike racing. And it's just so nice. It's a different style of event. You know, like you can do a 5K, you can do a off-roading bike. There's also the pump track at Arroyo Trail. So we have so many things that we have to offer and so many things that we have to take care of as a city. You know what I mean? Because, oh, cool trail, but we have to mow it and we have to make sure the trees are good. And we, you know, so as a city, you know, there's things that take a lot of, it takes care, right? And so we have a really important interview today with a public works director. And he takes care of so much in the city of Harlingen that today we're going to get into really the specifics of what they do. Because if somebody were to say like, oh, public works director, well, you don't, you know, maybe the average citizen doesn't understand.
Right.
So the gamut of what he's in charge of is something that a citizen in the city of Harlingen sees every day. It affects them every single day, right? Again, he doesn't turn in a piece of paper that says, well, we did this today, Mayor. No, you actually were at a stoplight that worked today, right? Or your trash was picked up today. All of that is something that he's taking care of. And his name is Chris Torres, and we're going to have a really fun interview with Chris today. And so everybody stay tuned. Today, we are honored to welcome our Public Works Director, Christopher Torres, the award-winning Public Works Director, recognized as one of the very best in the entire state of Texas.
Chris and his team work tirelessly behind the scenes to keep Harlingen running smoothly. Everything from roads, drainage, city maintenance to infrastructure. We are so glad to have him with us today. Chris, thank you so much for being here today. And welcome to Let's Talk Harlingen.
Thank you, Cassandra. Thank you, Mayor, for having me.
Absolutely. So what's going on over at Public Works?
So we have a lot going on. We have 151 staff members within the department with 10 divisions. And that entails sanitation, brush and debris services. We have our transfer station. We have street cleaning, street maintenance, paving. We're actually paving right now, North R Street. From Adams to Lozano. It's a little bit over half a mile. And so our guys are out there hard working, you know, making sure that everything turns out good. And so we have drainage crews. We have our recycling services. And so we have a lot going on.
That's incredible. And, you know, before we really kind of dive into all things Public Works, I just want to congratulate you again on your award. Here at the City of Harlingen, we're so proud that we have the Public Works Director of the Year throughout the state of Texas. And so that's phenomenal. It's a testament to your hard work. And I know Public Works is the largest city department. And you have a lot on your plate. And so we appreciate you showing up for Harlingen day in and day out. And actually, you know, it is your department that really keeps the city running. And we were talking about that right before you came on, is that, you know, you're usually the go-to person for any concerns regarding the city in terms of streets and, we were talking about traffic
Drainage.
lights and drainage and things like that. So thank you for choosing to stay here in Harlingen and for, being such a great leader, because definitely the work of Public Works is a reflection of leadership. And so, I couldn't be prouder of you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. That means a lot to me because, I can honestly say that I get to work with a lot of great staff. Day in and day out, they just, they put in their 100%. And I get to enjoy that, right? So thank you for having me.
Yes. So, for those that are tuning in, they probably want to know, I would say, what is the biggest project that you've got going on right now?
So right now we have several projects, right? Because every day we have a project. But if I can say the biggest one we have right now, actually we have two. We have the Lozano Pond, which is a 14-acre two-phase system that is designed to hold a little bit over 20 million gallons of water, right? It's equivalent to about 30 Olympic-sized pools. So can you imagine having all that water in the detention pond rather than the streets or in homes? I can tell you that back in March when we had those floods, that pond was completely full. And so even though we had water on the streets, can you imagine having 20 millions of water out on the street rather than that pond that we had? I mean, it just makes a big difference, right?
Yeah, I think it's I'm going to ask, I know Brandon's got, some footage of that. I'm going to ask him to really just, I want our viewers to those that tune in, that are listening to us, they might not be able to appreciate, just the vast, space that Lozano takes up, right, in that area, and what it has done for our community. And I can remember during the March floods, because it was a Thursday, right? And I remember the next morning, because we got like maybe 4 or 5 inches the first night, remember?
Yes.
And then I went to an event with my son. It was, I think it was, where they get their awards. It's like an award ceremony. And so there are all these parents, and they said, oh my goodness, thank you so much. Everything, we're talking about on the west side of town where there's another project that the Drainage District number 5 was working on and in collaboration with Public Works. And I remember before I went to the event that we talked, and I also talked to Oscar, and we said, what's it look like in the pond? And we're like, it's already dry. Like it was like, there was no issues whatsoever. So if you get 4 or 5 inches of rain, that the Lozano Pond is going to take care of it. There was no, and I was also talking to a bunch of the parents, and they were like, gosh, Harlingen is doing such a great job. We had no issues. We got all that rain, and, places where it would collect, it was dry. And so I thought, God, that's fantastic. But then the next night is when we got, or that next, or actually it was that day, about
Right.
5 o'clock, when it started really pouring. And that's when you went out there and said, okay, something's going on.
Correct.
And what a lot of people don't know is that night you really stayed working. You got there in the morning, checked out in the pond, everything was great, reported to city that we were in great shape. And we thought, well, we'll get another inch or 2 inches at what was in the forecast. And in reality, that's when it was, at capacity. And you worked, I don't know, what time do you get in the morning?
7.
7 in the morning. And it was late at night. And you were still on the phone with all of us until the next morning. Like, he worked 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's very commendable because I know that you knew, wait a minute, something is changing, something is happening. And I know sometimes like a commissioner or you, or, we'll post on the city page, okay, so we're preparing for a rain event. How do you prepare for a rain event? How do you activate, or who do you activate when you find out the news, like there's a movement happening, something is going on in the weather change? What steps do you take?
So it all depends, right? If we know that we have a forecast that where we're going to get a whole bunch of rain, then we do activate if we have to a sandbag operation, and so
Right.
therefore everybody gets activated,
So
right?
step 1, sandbags.
Mobilize.
Yes, mobilization, right? And then we do start moving some pumps
Right.
where we know we have some flooding issues, right? And then March 22nd, right? Whenever we got that rain, we were not expecting that much rain.
Right.
And so we started mobilizing late at night. We had rescue teams, we had evacuation teams, but not everybody was activated. And so
Right.
therefore we were kind of like a skeleton crew working at 100%.
Wow.
And so it was the following day where we needed to bring everybody in after the fact and start doing a lot more than what we were doing the previous night. And so it all depends, right? If we know we're going to be affected, then we take more measures because we know what's going on, what's going to happen,
Right.
but not like the March 22nd event.
So you said you take pumps to certain areas that you know. How many pumps do we have, or and how many crew does it take to work each of those?
So we are lucky enough that the mayor and the commission approved the purchase of 11 pumps. We actually got 4 last year, and then this year we got an additional 7. I'm sorry. And so we are lucky enough because I've worked with other municipalities, and they, even one of the biggest ones, right? That really doesn't have as many pumps as we have. And so whenever we do have to activate a pump, we mobilize it to the location, and it usually takes anywhere between 3 and 4 people, right? The pump is not the biggest factor of mobilizing because I just put it on a hitch and you tow it, but it's the hoses. Those hoses are very heavy. And so you need 2 to 3 people to be carrying those hoses around and connecting them to those pumps.
And of course, to monitor, make sure it's running.
Yes.
And then, of course, it probably is raining while this is happening.
Yes, believe it or not, whenever we do have to turn on a pump, staff needs to be there, making sure that the pump is running the way it should and that nothing happens to the pump. And so somebody needs to be there.
So let's kind of back it up a little bit. So for those that don't, they're like, okay, well, what is it? What is a pump, and what's its purpose, and why do we need them? We've identified the issues where there's been areas around town that are prone to flooding for decades, and you've identified those issues. You have decided these are where the pumps need to go. What exactly do the pumps do so that our audience, our viewers and our listeners fully understand?
So that's an excellent question, right? Because a lot of people think, oh, you can just bring a pump and get the water out. Yeah, but we need to have a discharge location.
Right.
Right?
It's got to go somewhere.
Exactly. We can't pump it from one subdivision to the next because then we'll just be flooding the next subdivision, right? There needs to be an outlet for that water to be discharged to. In other words, there needs to be a ditch, and not a roadside ditch. It needs to be a drainage ditch. If I can give one example, in the White Oak subdivision, there was flooding, and we were able to place 2 pumps at that location. Well, that water was being discharged over to an irrigation district that's behind that subdivision. And so that needs to be understood, right? That pumps are designed to take water out from a location, but it needs to be discharged at the right location.
Right, right. And so how much water is being pumped out at any given time?
So it all depends, right? We have 4-inch, 6-inch, and an 8-inch pump. I can tell you that the 8-inch pump, which is the biggest one, that one takes close to 130,000 gallons per minute. It's
Per minute?
Yes.
Wow. And so we're very blessed to have those.
Yes.
But I think it's also important to say, so you're saying the discharge area where it's going to go, that they're clean and maintained properly. So if we do say, okay, now we activated the sandbags, now we got the pump in the area that we needed to, now we're taking the water out. Okay, now wait, the water area is not properly maintained. So I think even citizens can do their part in making sure that there is not a sofa where it shouldn't be, or the brush is not where it shouldn't be, because all of those things collectively can cause an issue for where we can discharge water.
Absolutely. And that is rule number 1, right? For the water to flow correctly through those ditches, it needs to be clean, right? And so we maintained about 2 years ago a textile ditch that had overgrown trees. I mean, that ditch had not been maintained for at least 10 years. And so when we went in there, we realized that it needed to be done because even though it's a text outage, it affected the city of Harlingen.
Yeah.
And so we noticed that when those March 22nd floods came in, that ditch had a lot of water in there. Now, if that would have happened when it had all those overgrown trees, we would have had a lot more issues in that area.
And what's really great is that we've got fantastic partners. You know, Drain District number 5, from the board to the staff, have been phenomenal. District, you know, all of them. And so that's how we improve the quality of life of our community, because at the end of the day, you know, we talk about all these quality of life improvements that we want to make, but really it starts with drainage. This coming year, I believe, I don't know, I think we all do, that it's going to be really transformative for Harlingen, because we've got now double the ability to do the work that we're going to get done. And that's drainage. Before, you know, we got so much, but before we wrap up, I want to talk a little bit about streets and how important that is. Can you talk about the streets crew?
Sure. So our paving crew, you know, in the past, there was monies allocated for street paving, right? And so with the funds that were allocated, we could only do anywhere between 3 to 4 miles. Well, ever since we got the crew in-house, we are able to do anywhere between 7 and 9 miles. I'm pretty confident that we can do a little bit more, right? But you know, they're fairly new. They're getting the hang of it. It's new equipment, but they're doing really good because again, they're paving North R right now, and it's only going to take them 2 to 3 days, right? It's a prep work that takes the longest. The
Right.
paving, they got it down to the T. But again, there's a lot of savings there, right? Because if we were spending, let's just say, $1.2 million in the past and just doing 3 to 4 miles, now we're going to do anywhere between 7 to 9 with the same amount. And
Right.
so, you know, and I was thinking, right? I did a presentation with our city manager at TML, and we came up with some numbers to where in the next 2 to 3 years, we are basically going to pay off, you know, the equipment, and then after that, it's just, making good choices with
Right.
with the citizens' money.
Right. So it was an investment from the beginning, but like you said, you know, so you know how when you get your water bill, you got that small fee, a couple dollars that goes towards the paving of new roads. And so, like you mentioned, it was limited, and that was because we were contracting out everything. So as the prices of materials and labor and everything goes up, so you know it's less and less and less that you can provide, right? Because we're not doing the work ourselves, we're contracting it out. So now that we've got the paving crew, we said we're going to take this in-house, and we are going to stretch every dollar. And with that, we can invest in equipment, invest in our people, and now we are seeing that return on our investment, because we're going to able to do, you know, at least double, if not more, the amount of miles of repaving in our community. And so that's fantastic. I know that they kind of, you know, are working around the clock, it seems like sometimes.
And sometimes we can do, you know, even side jobs, right?
Right.
Like the City Lake.
Yes.
You know, we
Which looks
paved the
beautiful.
whole City Lake.
Congratulations on that.
The guys
Have
did
you
a
been?
really
Yes.
good job on that one.
We, on our Visit Harlingen page, had such an outreach of people very excited about it because it is used by the citizens daily. There's running groups, there's walking groups, there's people just enjoying it. Like I take my kids just to walk, just to see the ducks and everything like that. So it's nice to have a nice, stable surface to do that. And it is really important to tell people we can't kayak there. We can't do things there because it is a water source. Some people want to do like water sports in there, but it's not possible. But you can still enjoy around it. And thank you for doing that because the citizens really, really were excited and they needed it.
Yes.
Definitely. And they also, I don't know if you're, I mean, I've probably been going to the City Lake since I was, you know, a teenager. It was a long time ago. But there was always bikes kind of, you know, you're walking, having a good time with, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know, bike will kind of zoom by you, but you've fixed that. And how did you do that?
That is correct. So we added an extended trail to the City Lake. It's on the north side of the trail, and that is designed solely for bikes.
Oh,
So,
wonderful.
yes.
Keep everybody safe, everybody in the
Yes.
same.
Right.
Like
So you're
everybody
going to
can
get a
enjoy.
ticket if you are not on the bike lane.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I know that you also mentioned that it's a self-service recycling area that we have as well. So, you know, recycling times have changed. We're learning and we're growing. And so tell us a little bit about how the recycling center works now.
So we have a location at 1006 South Commerce, which is basically a self-serve type of recycling program, right? We have containers that are labeled with all the materials that could be placed in these containers. We don't have a dedicated staff member to oversee this operation, but we send crew staff to make sure that it's clean all the time, right? And the bad thing is that we don't have a person there educating everybody
That's
else.
what I was getting to, that a lot of the community doesn't understand that you cannot put dirty recyclables into these containers because then they contaminate the recyclable item. And then we won't be able to resell it, or you can't recycle it because it's contaminated. So it's very important for the people to know, do not mix it, right? Don't put it in the wrong one. Make sure you can't put like a dirty pizza box that still has pizza in there, because it will contaminate the items that we can use. So I think we need a little more education on that.
Right.
But it's still something that we offer the community. So I think it's still good. We just need to keep working on that.
Yes.
So, and I think this is an opportunity for us to really partner with those that are in our community. I know that they've been doing, the Parks Department has been doing those cleanups in the park. And so I know that there's a lot of folks in the community that are real passionate about recycling. So I think that this year, this fiscal year, we can try to reach out to the community, see how we can work with, maybe we get some volunteers to really put on an education campaign on recycling and see what we can do. Because right now, obviously, we have to prioritize funds. And
Right.
this year, moving forward, at least for me this term, the most important top priority is drainage. And so all additional monies that we can utilize, we're really pouring it into drainage to really keep people safe in their homes. But we want to keep working on these other initiatives, and I think that we can do that if we partner with the right people in our community. And we have a lot of businesses too that are in the community that are really invested in Harlingen, and so maybe we can brainstorm to see how we can improve that process together, but also stay lean on the budget, so that way we're able to do
more.
the work that we need
Right.
to
Yeah.
get done.
I completely agree. As a matter of fact, last week we did our first field trip over to our transfer station. We had fifth graders from Zavala Elementary doing a field trip. We showed them how to recycle. We showed them the process of our trash trucks going over to a transfer station, and how everything gets dumped into our trailers that take everything over to the Brownsville landfill. It turned out to be a really good event.
I love that.
And so we're gonna see if we can team up with with the school district
Right.
to be able to conduct more of these.
Yeah. So the transfer station is something that is by the soccer fields, right?
Yes.
And I think people don't understand, like, we don't necessarily go dump the trash there. Do you want to explain to everybody how the transfer station works?
Yes. So our transfer station is just a big warehouse, right? If you pass right by it, you'll think it's just a warehouse. But no, we store only for a temporary period of time all the trash that our staff collects, right? Whether it's residential, commercial, or industrial, everything goes in there. And then we have a big piece of equipment in there, which is our trash pusher, our loader, that throws everything through a pit inside trailers. And all that trash goes over to the Brownsville landfill. It's more efficient to do it that way, because if we were to do it with our refuse trucks, we would only be taking anywhere between 10 to 12 tons. Well, on these trailers, we can take up to 22 tons. So it's like sending two of our refuse trucks over to the Brownsville landfill. And so we can only keep inside our transfer station up to 10 tons, I'm sorry. And so we need to be moving all that trash all the time.
Right.
That's part of the maintenance in, downtime that you needed to have, from the street cleanup part to that part is also, you include
Yes.
that.
Well, you definitely have a lot going on. I wish we had more time to cover. We may have to bring you back on another episode. Just, want to hear from our community to see what is it, what are their questions that they have for Public Works. We just, we love what you're doing. We're really grateful that you took an opportunity to be here with us today to kind of educate the community, inform them about what's going on in Public Works. I want to thank you again and your team. I know you've got a great team doing a lot of work throughout the community in all different areas that we've talked about today. And before we wrap up, is there any message that you have for the community? Anything you want to leave with them? This is your moment.
This is my moment. I can say that I love working for the city of Harlingen. As I mentioned earlier, right? I've worked with 2 other municipalities, but here is the staff is amazing. I wouldn't be able to do what I do without the staff that I have. And so I really want to thank, everybody for having me here. But, also I would like to just say, we need your help out there, right? Make sure that your inlets are clean, especially when a storm is coming by, that your containers are out for service, that are not next to a mailbox, next to a car. Or if when you place your brush or debris, do not put it on top of a gas meter or a water meter. There's a lot of education that we can give you, and feel free to call our office, right? The number is 956-216-5300. If we don't answer, please call back. Our phone calls are like crazy every single day. But if you have any questions regarding any operation that we have at Public Works, feel free to call us, and we'll be able to help you.
So if the phone goes unanswered, it's because they are on the phone with another resident helping them. But there's one other option, and that's the app. Do y'all rely on the app?
We do. We get a lot of our work orders through the app, right? And we execute those within 24 to 48 hours. But there are some work orders that we cannot do that fast, right? Because sometimes we need to work on a curb. So that takes a while. We need to send staff, make sure that we going to address the issue with all the safety measures, but then we have to order material because we don't have concrete all the time. So yeah.
And so how important is it for them to utilize the app in order to track the progress? Would you recommend them to utilize the app more so than any other platform on trying to submit a work order?
Absolutely. Because if you call our office, we'll make a work order, but you won't know the status of it. Okay. And so if you do it through the app, you'll know exactly what's been done to your work order and when it has been completed. So the best thing is the app.
Awesome. And I know that our media department has put out a wonderful video on how to utilize the app. So we encourage everybody to go check out that video because it will take you step by step on how to get that done. And it is the best way to ensure that your concerns are being addressed and you can track that progress. And I think that it's important for us to remind our community about that. Well, Chris, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. This has been a great episode. What do you think, Cassandra?
Thank you, Chris. We have the best public works director in all of Texas. And if we could nominate him again next year, I will. I'll personally call them. I thank you so much for everything that you do. Your staff, I know that they feel very proud to have you as their leader as well. And you can tell because their work is great and because of you. And we are, everybody in the city of Harlingen should know that if everything is working well, it's thanks to you. And of course, your beautiful staff. So we thank you and we want to see more of what's going on. So maybe you should come back and tell us, after you got your new pothole filler, come back. We need to get some video of that.
Absolutely.
It's really cool. I did learn that potholes are squares, not circles. So we're learning new things every day, and we're thankful for you to keep the city of Harlingen looking great. So we appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. And that is our episode for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. That's it for this episode of Let's Talk Harlingen.
If you like what you heard today, make sure to subscribe on our YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We've got more conversations coming your way.
Let's talk again soon, Harlingen.